We've all been through it. Some of us are watching our own kids go through it right now. And yeah, it's one of the most confusing, chaotic, and honestly, critical periods of our lives. So today, let's unpack adolescence.
Okay, so first things first, let's just throw out what we think we know. Like, when does adolescence even start and end? We all think teenager, right? And yeah, the World Health Organization kind of backs that up. They say 10 to 19. But get this, some researchers now argue this whole massive developmental phase can actually stretch all the way to age 30. 30! It's a way longer journey than we ever thought.
So, where does this whole revolution even kick off? Well, it doesn't start in the mind. It starts in the body. The starting gun for this entire transformation is a biological floodgate that just swings open, and it reshapes us from the inside out. We're talking about puberty. And right from the very beginning, there's a huge difference. For girls, puberty usually kicks off around age 10 or 11. But for boys, it's often a year, maybe two, later. And this little timing gap, believe it or not, it's the unseen force behind so much of that middle school awkwardness and social drama.
So what's pulling the strings here? It's all driven by this powerful hormonal cascade. Deep inside the brain, the pituitary gland is like, okay, go time, and it sends out the signal. That wakes up the ovaries and testes, and they start pumping the body full of estrogen and testosterone. These are the chemical architects behind, well, everything, from a voice deepening to all the other changes we see.
And these changes, they're not just random. A lot of the time, they follow this surprisingly predictable script. Take facial hair, for instance. It's not just a chaotic mess. There's a pretty typical pattern that unfolds over years. Now, of course, the exact timing is different for everyone, but the sequence itself, it's just a reminder that there's this biological blueprint at work.
But of course, this whole journey isn't just physical, right? Maturing earlier or later than your friends, that can have a massive psychological impact. For a boy, developing early might bring a boost of confidence, but it can also come with this pressure to act way older than he is. And for girls, it can attract unwanted attention, forcing them to deal with these really complex social situations before they're even emotionally ready for it.
Okay, but look, what's happening on the outside, it's nothing compared to the massive renovation going on inside. Let's head to the control center for all of this change, the adolescent brain. And it's not just growing, it is being completely and totally rewired.
So here's the thing that most people get totally wrong. The adolescent brain isn't really getting any bigger. Think about it. Your brain is already about 90% of its adult size by the time you're 6. So no, this period isn't about growth. It's all about efficiency, a full-on rewiring to make it work smarter, not harder. And this renovation happens in two really key ways. First, the brain acts like a gardener doing some synaptic pruning. It literally snips away the weak or unused connections. It's a ruthless use-it-or-lose-it policy. Then, something called myelination comes in and acts like an insulator, wrapping the important pathways that are left so that information can just fly down them at lightning speed. Okay, now this is the absolute key to understanding the teenage mind. This whole renovation, it doesn't happen evenly across the brain. The limbic system, that's your brain's raw, emotional, I want it now, reward-seeking engine, it matures early. But the prefrontal cortex, the calm, rational CEO that's supposed to be in charge of planning and impulse control, well, that develops much, much later, sometimes not finishing until your late 20s. And this mismatch creates a brain that's basically all gas pedal and very little brake. And that explains so much, right? The intense emotions, the craving for new things, and yeah, the attraction to taking risks.
So, this massive brain renovation, it's basically installing a brand new operating system for thought, and it fundamentally changes how an adolescent sees the entire world.
All of a sudden, for the first time, their thinking just breaks free from the here and now. As one scholar put it, their thinking is less bound to concrete events. They can really truly start to contemplate possibilities, and that unlocks this whole world of abstract ideas like justice, faith, and what the future could actually hold.
And the cognitive upgrades here are just staggering. Suddenly, attention gets way sharper, memory becomes more powerful, and thoughts are just moving faster than ever before. But then comes the real game changer, something called metacognition.
Metacognition is, literally, thinking about your own thinking. It's that moment you realize you can kind of step outside your own head and just observe your thoughts. And this powerful new ability is exactly why adolescents suddenly become so much more introspective, more analytical, and, yeah, why they can become painfully self-conscious.
All right, so you've got a rewired brain and a changing body.
Now the adolescent has to step into this brand new social world. And the final piece of the puzzle is figuring out that huge question: who am I and where the heck do I fit in?
And that social map, it gets completely redrawn. The center of gravity shifts dramatically away from family and over towards peers. Now, this isn't just rebellion for the sake of it. It's a totally necessary part of development. Friends become the testing ground for identity. They're a huge source of support, and they act like a mirror in which you get to see yourself.
And this kicks off the great search for identity. Your self-concept starts to evolve from simple, physical things like I have brown hair to these complex internal values and beliefs, like I believe in fairness. It's a period of exploration, of trying on possible selves, almost like you try on new clothes, just to see what fits. And the ultimate goal is to build a stable, coherent answer to that big question, who am I?
And this journey, it's definitely not a straight line. A psychologist named James Marsha outlined a pretty common path. A lot of people start in what he called diffusion, just feeling a bit lost. Some might jump straight to foreclosure, adopting an identity from their parents without really questioning it. But the really crucial stage is moratorium. That's the period of actively exploring all the different options before finally, hopefully, achieving an identity that feels authentic and earned.
So, after all this upheaval, this total revolution in the body, the brain, and in social life, what does it all mean? What's the big takeaway from this incredible and kind of crazy journey?
It's so critical to see adolescence not just as some chaotic phase we all have to survive, but as a necessary and, honestly, brilliantly designed process. It is the fundamental human journey from the complete dependence of childhood to the independence of adulthood, and it's powered by all of the profound changes we've just been talking about. And that really reframes the whole experience, doesn't it? It leaves us with one last question to think about. Is adolescence just a difficult period to be endured, or is it the most critical and foundational transformation that we will ever experience?